make you guys cry when you see this movie, or you connected?
The first time I saw it was sad, and also I mean, for me, doing the last scene where she kind of reads the letter. I mean, that's probably one of the saddest parts of the movie, and for me, it was just so emotional there reading it, because that was the first time I'd read the letter. Scott strategically put it in the notebook when I went to film that scene, so after that I kind of knew what was coming. But
I don't know how it is for you guys when I watch emotional films, but I tend to bottle up my emotions in real life all the time, and it usually comes out when I'm watching a movie.
Right.
And so I wonder if it's like that for you, and because this movie, ends the way that it does, I feel like you need to go home and watch Dumb and Dumber. So what's your pick-me-up movie that you have?
What's my pick-me-up movie?
Yeah.
Pretty much anything Will Ferrell, like Step Brothers, Kicking and Screaming. I don't know, I'm a huge Will Ferrell fan. He always makes me laugh.
Pick-me-up movie?
White Chicks for you, probably.
Yeah, it's just that I've seen it so many times now that if I watch it, I'm sad. It's like, it's not gonna distract me enough to like get out of my emotional state. So I think like something thriller or horror based, I think that would make me forget a little bit.
But you said last night you're a big horror movie fan, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and you'd said some of your favorites, but just for the sake of this.
The Strangers. I saw The Grudge in theaters when it came out as a little girl, and that movie at the time was so scary, so great. Horror. Oh, The Babadook, of course. I love a good psychological thriller. She's a great actress. My goodness, man.
Babadook.
And I have a big life-size Babadook in my house.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
But how cool is that? Now you're in horror movies too.
yeah, I love messing with the horror genre for sure. Just the blood, the sticky, water-based maple syrup blood. It's a little difficult to deal with, but besides that, I'm all down.
So go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, do you hope to do more horror in the future? Anything kind of genre you want to do in the future more?
Oh yeah, definitely thriller more. I love horror as well, but I'd like to do more thriller horrors, less blood and guts and a bit more psychological. Scott and I actually have another movie that is thriller coming out later this year called I Still See You. But that's a good psychological, interesting thriller. But yeah, I would love to just go more in that genre for sure.
So from the movie, the main message that I took was follow your dreams no matter how impossible or how hard it may be. So I wanted to ask you guys, what are like, in your personal life, what are some characteristics in your personality that you think got you through the hardest part to get you to this point?
In the film, are you saying?
No, your personal.
Oh,
I know Katie and Charlie, what they went through. What's something like, if you've been through a rough time in your career that got you past that, like some kind of emotion, something that you did?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's been kind of family and friends. I'm really close-knit with my family and my friends, and I live with my friends, and they're pretty much, if I'm having the best day or if I'm having the worst day, I'd kind of like to be with them or my family. And they're always there. I like to surround myself with people that like want the best for me and expect the best from me and kind of make me a better person. And I just feel comfortable to be with them during those down times or the up times.
Family's key.
During the rough times, family-wise, yeah, definitely my sister, Danny. But I like to think that when I'm going through these things, I'm like, come on, what haven't you been through? What's next? You're gonna let like this one keep you on the ground? Come on.
Yeah.
No, like even when I don't want to, I'm like, Bella, just get the fuck back up. Like, what are you doing? Like, you
That's
need
what I
to
love
like.
about this movie. That it's like you got one life, do what you got.
Yeah.
That's what I
Kick
tell
yourself in the
That's what I
ass.
tell my supporters, my fans. I like to tell them to follow your dreams. I call them the dream team, my dreamers, and that's what I like. that's what I preach all the time. Just like you got one life, you got one choice. I like to preach patience and just hard work.
Yeah, whew,
great.
patience. That's a difficult one to teach.
It is.
That patience is. But my dad always used to tell me, like, either shit happens to you or it happens for you. And like always making kind of a downtime or something that bad that's happened to you, and you can always look at it as like sulking in it and focusing on the bad side, or using that and turning it into a positive way and find ways that you can grow or make the situation better, or it's happened to you and it's going to help shape who you're going to be.
Exactly.
And so I think there's always two ways to look at every scenario, and that's how I like to look at things.
Perfect.
Must have been interesting having Arnold as your dad, or I guess
Yeah.
I don't know any different, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's different or not. He's been my only dad, so yeah, but it's been a blessing. It's been great. I've learned a lot from him, so yeah, I can't be thankful enough for having him as a mentor and the life that he's fought to give me.
How did you guys prepare for your roles?
There's not a lot online about it, reading wise, so I watched a lot of YouTube videos, people with XP, just how they live their life, how they feel about it. I wanted to play the more normal side of Katie because she is a girl that's dying to be normal, and so for her, I think most days she tries not to spend thinking of her disease, because she says in the movie, like, I am more than just a disease. And so I wanted to, the disease itself, XP does a lot of talking on its own. And Scott thought it was a wise idea to play up the happiness and play down the sadness, because it does a lot on its own. You don't need to really emphasize that so much. And for everyone, dealing with XP when they watch the movie, we didn't want it to be like a movie that focuses on all the bad.
There was someone with XP. They said that you guys invited to the premiere. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we just heard from them yesterday, so that was pretty cool. They ran across the trailer and were like so excited that we were bringing, that this film was bringing kind of some attention to the disease, and she was like, I just can't wait to see it. Thank you guys for bringing awareness to this. So we both saw that on Twitter and we were like, oh heck, we got to invite her to the premiere, and yeah, just happened yesterday.
I'm always fascinated with people's personal growth from doing the projects that you do, even from like an acting standpoint. This is starring roles for you, so how did it inform your process? And also because of all the themes that you have in this film, whether it's like accepting or just like living life to the fullest, how has it informed you in the way that you live your life?
Well, I definitely, as Katie has, I've been dealing with death since a young age, so, I think that you take that kind of mentality when you're younger, and then I got a character to play that has the same mentality that I have. Hers is just in an extreme form of it, but I've always thought, like, especially more now, the more I drive myself crazy and am so exhausted and my face is involuntary twitching and I'm like, overworked, I'm still just saying, you're not doing enough to change the world. Like, where do you start? Where do you keep going? How do you get further in that path? And I think it's important to live like that, at least in my opinion, because you just never know when you're just never going to see that person again. And it's always like, it wouldn't happen to me, but it does. It happens to every one of us, as it will as time goes on, and you just start wanting to stop taking those moments for granted.
Is that one of the reasons you said yes to the movie? Because I know you were talking last night and saying that I assume Scott called you, kind of picked you for the role, and is that kind of one of the overarching reasons why you really wanted to do this movie?
Yeah, I mean, I felt really close to the character in general, with her father being a single parent, and the scene where I'm talking about the dating profile, I've imagined doing that over and over and over with my mother so many times. And when I read that in the script, I was like, it's so honest. We did a great job portraying it, but it's really all there on the paper. The script is written beautifully, and I felt for Katie in being trapped and trying to connect constantly to this outside world, and I think a lot of people do as well. I feel like every single person thinks like, I'm different, I'm so weird, like people, do they like me? And they just don't realize that every single person thinks that way. And if you just took a second to hear someone else's thoughts, you might be like, oh wow, we actually have a lot in common, we could be friends. So that's kind of how I felt about the character when I read it. And then when I met Scott, his vision for the movie was so beautiful, and I love, you know, when you're giving a piece of material, and he said in our meeting, like, I want to, like I already said, play up the happiness and not so much the sad. And I was like, that is one of the things that I was like, oh, I love this director. Like, he's just so smart.